who knows how to do social media well. She just lazy.
Hi, everybody. We're going to start in a few minutes. Just had a little technical difficulty. Okay, Trent, you should have admin access now.
All right. Okay, so are we ready?
Yes, yes. Just make sure that you have admin control on your side.
Child, now what does that mean? What?
If you need to share your screen.
Oh, okay, perfect, because
Yeah.
I do. Okay. All right, great.
Okay, I apologize, everyone. I was having some technical difficulties on my end, but we are up and running now. Since we're starting a little late, I'm going to go ahead and throw it to Trent. I want to cut into their time. So, Trent, if you want to just introduce yourself really quickly, and then you can go ahead and jump right in.
Yeah, I will do that. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up my little cute. I made us a little something. Oh, wait, I pulled up the wrong thing. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. Okay. All right, now.
Perfect.
Okay. All right, y'all. Welcome. We're doing social media 101 today. I'm going to be sharing with you some just soft, I'm calling it soft information. We're not going to do any like hard numbers and percentages and things like that. I'm not really sure what everyone's level of interneting is. So I just wanted to start us at just like a nice kind of ground level to build on. Uh-oh, now this thing's not moving. Okay, there we go. So welcome to the internet. I will be your guide today. My name is Trent. It is not a typo. It is all lowercase, like bell hooks, but I'm not bell hooks. We'll just leave that at that. My pronouns are they, them. I am the president of the New York City chapter of the Hugh Society, and I also run our socials. I'm a multi-hyphenate creative. I do a lot of things, but these three things right here kind of narrow it down to the main things that I do. So I'm a content creator. I'm a home cook and beverage curator, and a community curator. I have over 10 years of experience in digital media creation and management. How I got into that is kind of how I got into a lot of things. I'm just very confidently curious, is what I like to say. I see something and it takes me about 2 seconds to decide whether or not I think that I can do it. And then I just kind of figure it out as I go. And I have landed myself in a lot of places doing that. I do not have a Valentine yet, so hey, and I'm a Scorpio. All right, so today, like I said before, we are going to be getting into just kind of the basics, laying a good foundation for how you can build a solid social media presence for yourself, whether it is your own personal brand or you are managing a page for someone. All of this information should be relevant to you. And give me 1 second. I see that there's a chat in here, so I just want to, okay, that is from Natasha. Sweet. All right, so laying the foundation, that's what we're going to be focusing on today. We have 5 main things that we're going to go over, which will be identity, voice, audience, engagement, and trends. So starting off with brand identity, the question, why are you here? What is the reason? When you are starting off doing whatever it is that you're doing, again, whether this is a personal brand that you want to do or it is a product that you're wanting to sell, some good questions to ask yourself actually are, am I here to make friends? Am I here to sell a product? Or am I here to sell a product to my friends? You want to get clear on who you are. What is the solution that you are sharing? What is your reason for taking up space here on the internet? There's a lot of space to take up, but you want to do it in an intentional way. What is the solution that you're sharing? Or the way a lot of times I hear this question actually poses, what is the problem that you're solving? So you can ask yourself that question either way, but answering this question is going to be a great guide in how you present yourself on the internet, what it is that you want, how you want people to perceive you, and what you want to be known for. Perception is a huge part of how we show up on the internet. Perception is pretty much all of how we show up on the internet. Everything is curated. Everything is curated. So when you are building a brand identity, again, be it for yourself or for, a specific product, you do get to choose how you want people to receive whatever it is that you are putting out there on the internet. So you want to be very thoughtful and intentional about that. And what do you want to be known for? This question, I think, is so important because we have so much access to being visible on the internet, but there's a very big difference between people seeing you and people knowing you for a thing. And this is a question that even I myself have been challenging myself to answer with a lot of what I do. Is it about being seen or is it about being known for a particular thing? People know when they come to your page that there's a specific thing that they're going to get, or there's specific information that they're going to get, or there's a specific personality that is going to be present there. And people like familiarity. So knowing what you want to be known for is very important. Get clear on your brand values and your mission. What fundamental beliefs shape your brand behavior? And the example that I want to use here is a very sensitive and unfortunate topic, but also very on point to this right now. Essentially, everything that is happening right now with Palestine. What are your fundamental beliefs around that? We are seeing a lot of users of the internet. We're seeing a lot of people's audiences asking them to speak up, to say something, to have a stance on it. And a lot of brands are struggling with how they want to go about that. And that feeds right back into knowing what your fundamental beliefs are, and how does that feed into how you typically behave on your page. Just because somebody is asking you to say or do something does not mean that you have to say or do something, but that is an answer that you need to be able to answer for yourself. Another large part of brand identity is streamlining everything. Streamlining everything. There are times, and what I mean by that is essentially your name here should be the same as your name on your website, should be the same as the name on your email, should be the same as your name wherever it is that people can find you. And it needs to be something that people can very clearly identify. There have been times when I be out and about in the world, bopping around, and I'll hear somebody from behind me say, "It's Trent, y'all." And I'm like, yes, that's me. But okay, yeah, it feels cute. It feels cute when it happens. But also it's a thing that is like, I did that. I was very intentional about the way that I wanted people to recognize my personal brand. And here we are. I'm outside at the coffee shop, scarfing down a bagel, and you saying it's Trent, y'all. Mission accomplished. So if it's your personal brand, if it's your product, streamline everything so that there is no confusion what people are recognizing when they see you. The next thing we are going to touch on is brand voice. Now, brand voice is just kind of like an extension of your brand identity, okay? How do you want to be heard? Now, I'm gonna say something. I can't see anybody's face right now, but I know all of y'all are gonna recognize this when I say it. Hello there. Y'all know who that is. You know who it is, okay? Tabitha Brown is an excellent example of what it is to have a strong brand identity and a strong brand voice. She has a very clear and recognizable tone, and she has very clear vernacular that she's established with us. We have hello there. We have because it's my business. We have don't you go messing up anybody else's day. She has a plethora of things that she says, but we all know that it is her when we hear these very specific things. She also has a very specific tone to how she presents herself on the internet, to what it is that we are going to be expecting whenever Tabitha Brown comes across our timeline, whether that is, you know, something where she's super happy, jumping around, doing whatever, cooking something in the kitchen. Or maybe there are times when like it's a little bit somber, but across the board, we always know like what the general tone is going to be. That is just excellent example of brand identity and brand voice. If your brand was a person, who would it be? Be specific. This is a great way to build your brand voice. It could be a person. It could be a not person. You could maybe pretend that you're building some type of character, cartoon character, whatever it is that you want to be, but get very specific about who this person is, what is their race, their age, their ethnicity, where does this person hang out, what type of phrases do they like to say, what are things that if someone saw this brand of a person that you've created in your mind out in the world, how is this person going to be recognized? Be specific about how you want your voice to come across, how you want to be recognized. Say what you need to say. Okay, I think sometimes it can be very easy with there being so many different trends and, you know, whatever different trends to hop on. You can get lost. Your brand messaging can get lost. So I think it's very important to always know what it is that you want to say. Everything doesn't have to be super serious. Everything does not have to be branded at all times, but you do want to remain constantly aware that anything that you put out into the world at any time could go viral. And so do you want something to go viral where people are now seeing you and they have no idea what it is that you're presenting on your page, why they should come to your page and want to continue to follow you? If you're putting something out into the world that literally has nothing to do with what you do, people are going to come to your page, look around and see that everything on your page looks nothing like the thing that went viral, and they're going to leave. And so then what have we accomplished there? So just try to be intentional that everything that you put out aligns with your brand. Say what you need to say every time. Always find a way to lead people back to your page or lead them to whatever link, or just make sure that you're sending people where you want to send them. Have a little call to action thing going on. Study your field, use analytics, check out and see what other folks who do what you do, see what they're doing, see what they're saying, see what questions they're answering. Are those questions that you also want to be answering? See what questions they are not answering, see what things they are not talking about. Are those things that you would like to talk about on your page? Something that I think is really cool to do sometimes, some of these larger creators or larger brands that we see on the internet that have these huge followings, after a while, they're no longer responding to people's questions in their comments. And so if you click on the comments and just kind of start looking through and see who has actual legit questions, and this is within your field, answer the questions. Start a little conversation with them. You might recruit a little somebody for yourself. Use analytics. So I'm going to say use analytics with the caveat that we know that the algorithm does what she wants to do. So sometimes the analytics, they be hidden and sometimes they don't. You could literally post the same content 1 minute apart or a week apart, and one of them gets high engagement and the other one gets very low engagement, and that's not necessarily your fault. But if there's something that you are consistently trying, a very specific type of content that you want to put out, you just want to see how people respond to it, check the analytics consistently to see, is this performing the way that I want it to? And then lastly, don't be afraid to try new things. And also don't be afraid to stick with what works. We're going to talk a little bit later more about trends and more on going viral, but don't always feel like you have to move as quickly as the trends do. If there is something that works for you, if there is something that works for your audience, don't be afraid to stick with that. Okay. All right. So next we are going on to your audience. All of these kind of feed right back into each other. So your audience, who is she talking to? Who is out here that is supposed to be receiving this message that you are putting out into the world to be received by anybody who scrolls by? But is it for anybody who scrolls by? This identifying your audience, their demographics, their interests, their behaviors, this is going to very largely impact how you behave on the internet. So, you know, let's say that your target audience, and again, this is something, so your target audience is something that you want to get just as specific about as you are about how you are building your own personal brand character. You are also going to build a character, preferably a person, for who your audience is. What is this person's gender? What is their age range? What's their race? What's their ethnicity? What are their interests? Are they a person who is part of lots of different clubs and likes to do different activities throughout the week? Does this person work? Are they a homebody? Is this a person who loves to be out on the weekends? You need to literally consider, where did this person go to college? Who are this person's friends? You need to consider every single part of who your ideal audience member is, because everything about them is going to influence their behaviors and their behaviors of how they actually participate or engage with the internet, which means that that is also about how they are engaging with you and your work. Tailor your content to resonate with your audience's needs and preferences. So let's just say that your ideal audience member is a middle-aged mom. She stay at home, but she has 2 toddlers, and on the weekends they are out and about doing all the things and the stuff. So you are probably going to want to post your content maybe in the evenings after the children have been put down for bed and she's got a little bit of time to scroll. Actually, I'm not a mother, so I don't know when y'all be having time to scroll, honestly, but I know that it happens because I be seeing it happen. But whenever you think that moms are scrolling, that's when you want to post content for them to see. And then B, you want to post content that is going to grab their attention quickly, because there is so much for them to see. So you need to give them a reason to stop and look at your content. And it also needs to be something that grabs them quickly. It also needs to be something that gives them the information that they need quickly, because you want them to engage, you want them to stay, you want them to find the value in your work. What value do you bring to their timeline? If you're going to be showing up on my timeline, don't be here just playing in my face. Give me a reason now. Give me a reason to click that follow button, okay? And then also design your profile from the eyes of your audience. This part is incredibly important. So we're talking about literally the look of your profile. So when someone Someone sees a piece of your content, they're like, oh, this is cute, this is fun. They click on your page. One of the first things they're going to see is going to be your profile picture. You want your profile picture to very clearly tell a story of how you want folks to engage with you, what you want them to expect from you. So if you do cooking, put a little picture up where you're doing something with the food, or you got on a little apron. If you do fitness stuff, show them a muscle or muscles, however many you got, show them a couple. Okay. If you are someone who is very much into just like inspo lifestyle things, let your photo reflect that. We are very visual people. The internet is a very visual place. So you need to give folks something very interesting and intentional to look at. When you are writing your bio, write your bio from the perspective of your audience. Don't write your bio specifically about you. Write your bio more so about your audience. Let me see, what's a good example? Good example would be, my bio doesn't look like this right now, so don't go look at my bio, but this is the example that I'm gonna give. So let's say there's a difference between my bio saying, hi, I'm Trent and I like cooking and I share recipes on my page. There's a lot of I, and this is what I do, this is what I do. A better way to write your bio so that it resonates more with your audience is, hi, I'm Trent. Here, I create recipes to help you feed your kids in 30 minutes or whatever it is. Something that is more about what the audience needs and less about just what I do. Okay, engagement. Engagement. She's that girl. Engagement gets slept on a lot. This is something that you just have to do it, okay? The internet is full of content. Content is coming out every day. There's always something new, which is great. And it's great for you to also be part of getting the content out. But if you're not engaging with folks, why would you expect folks to engage with you? This is one of my favorite things that I intentionally set aside time to do. So let's just start at the top. The golden rule of engagement. If you want folks to engage with you, engage with folks. I made that up, but it's very true. It works. Okay. Use close friends, use favorites, use save folders. These are things that are going to kind of help to make engagement a little bit of an easier thing for you. So great example with close friends. Close friends is not something that, it is something that you can use like literally for your close friends on the internet. But if you are, again, building a brand, building a personal brand, or like managing a product of some sort, you can use close friends to engage with folks who are maybe some of your most loyal followers. Use it as something that makes people feel like, oh, we have a special in. And I know that there's the subscriber option specifically on Instagram right now that folks can use. But if you are building from the ground up, use something like close friends that is just gonna help to draw folks in, and give them more of a reason to watch your story. Because I know sometimes when I log on and I see a little green circle, some of these green circles, I don't even know how I got in them. But baby, if I see a green circle, I'm gonna click on it. So use close friends to bring folks in. Another great way to use this, especially if anyone on here manages like a Hue page, add your members to your close friends. There are times when maybe you want to post something on your story that is specific for members. It's information that you sent out on an email that doesn't really need to be seen by the general public, but you just want to have another touch point to make sure that folks are seeing it, because people don't always check their emails. Use close friends. It's members only, and that way you're making sure that you have another way to get that information in front of people. And again, it's a little green circle, so hopefully people will click on it. That is a great use of close friends. Also, sometimes if there is something specific that you need, this goes more into personal branding, but I've seen creators who specifically will use close friends as a means of, maybe they're trying to get a brand deal, but they need a little bit more engagement on some other kind of post. And they'll just go into their close friends and say, hey, can y'all please go and engage with this? There's nothing wrong with doing that. So utilize these tools that are already there, that are for free. Favorites. So favorites, again, this is a specific feature on Instagram. So when you're on your home page on Instagram, in the top left corner, you will see that they have the option for you to turn your timeline into everyone that you're following, or you can turn your timeline into your favorites. Favorites can be a really great way to ensure that you are either seeing the pages that you admire the most, like maybe these are inspo pages, these are pages that are within your industry or just like within your field that you want to make sure that you're seeing. Or you could use this again as another touch point to make sure that you are seeing the pages of folks that you want to continue having engagement with, or maybe it's somebody that you want to build a partnership, an organization or something that you want to have a closer relationship with. Add them to your favorites so you can make sure that you are seeing every time that they post, so that you can engage every time that they post. Engagement is a huge and special part of how we build ourselves, build our audience on the internet. And then using saved folders. So saved folders can save you a lot of time, because there are times when maybe I'll get online and I'm scrolling, and I don't see anything that really interests me enough to want to repost. And then there are some days that I get online and I'm scrolling, and almost everything that I see is engaging me or inspiring me, and it's something that I want to repost. So I have a collection of different folders, so that on those days when I'm scrolling and I don't see anything that I want to repost or reshare, I can just I can save myself some time, go to my save folders and just pull something from there. So specifically for the Hue page, I have a saved folder for Sunday Scaries. I have a saved folder for things that I just think are generally funny. Maybe sometimes we need to laugh. I have a little motivation folder. I have a folder for upcoming events. I have a folder for things that I see posted by our members, so I can go back and reshare those things. And there's another folder that I have that I wanted to mention, but I can't remember, but it'll come back to me, maybe. But the folders that I shared are good enough. You get the idea. Save things in folders, because sometimes you want to have a little something on your story, and this is a great way to just go and pull something and just throw it up there. Slide in the DMs, but please don't be a spammy pammy, y'all. She is not cute. She is not cute. Now, to the first part of the sentence, sliding in the DMs, great way to build rapport, great way to further your connection with your audience, with other businesses and organizations and brands. If you see something that you think might be funny to somebody who engages with you regularly, send it to them. Or if you posted something on your page and you see that it's not getting high engagement, even from the people who usually engage with you, send it to them. When people respond to your stories, or when people tag you in a thing, or when people pop up in your DMs, try to engage with them in a way that feels like more than just a thanks for the like someone hearts something and then you just heart it back. Sometimes that's all it calls for. I get it. But also that is an opportunity to further engage them in conversation and just like build that rapport between you and that person and whoever else, because a lot of times it's multiple people. But it's just it's a great moment to just further build with that person. When I say don't be a spammy pammy, that is more so speaking to like the example that I gave of if you send somebody one of the posts that you posted because you recognize that like they didn't like it or it just didn't get high engagement. Yes, and not all the time. People will recognize when you are just trying to get engagement. People will recognize when you are not being genuine. When you're not being genuine. So just, always stick to what feels authentic to you, what feels good to you. Treat it like it's work, because it is. Again, speaking specifically to engagement. Engagement takes time, y'all. Schedule time out in your day to post, and also schedule out time in the day to just scroll and like and comment on things. I literally have built engagement into my morning routine. I get up in the morning, I go and start my coffee, I tidy up a little bit around the house, whatever was left over from the night before while the coffee's going. Coffee's done. I sit it on next to my couch. I meditate for a little bit. Coffee's ready to drink. I sit down, drink my little coffee, do a little reading, do a little journaling, and then it's time to get to scrolling. And I give myself a good 30 minutes, sometimes an hour, to just scroll, like, and comment on things and just see what I can see. Now, I know that everybody is not going to have a 30 minutes or an hour to contribute to this, but again, just schedule anytime, y'all. It could be 15 minutes. Maybe you do a couple of sets of 15 minutes throughout the day, but just get on there and just take some time to engage. It really goes a very long way. All right, trends and virality. Okay, now the internet moves quickly, okay? The internet moves just as quickly as our minds do, except things just materialize a lot quicker on the internet because everybody's mind is on the internet. This is a world where trends and virality are all over the place, but I am going to tell you right now that authenticity is the queen at the end of the day. Not every single trend is going to be for you, and that is okay. Stick to what feels right for you, because when you don't, people can see it, people can feel it. It gives people what the young folks are calling the ick, okay? Try to stick with what feels authentic to you. We don't want to be looking like little Miss Thing over here crying and dancing for the likes, okay? It don't got to be that. Also, I say prioritize authenticity over virality, because virality has its pros and cons. What we want is growth. Growth does not always necessarily mean virality, and virality does not always equal growth. There are pros and cons. I think one of the biggest cons that I've seen when it comes to virality is the example that I gave earlier, you put something out, it goes viral, but it literally has nothing to do with your brand and the presence that you want to establish on the internet. So you've gotten all of this attention, but people come and they look at your page and they don't see anything else that looks like this thing that you put out. And so now you've lost that potential engagement from someone who could have been a client or an audience member or just a partnership or anything like that. It also is important, if you do choose to prioritize virality, it's important to know what can come with that. There are times when we've seen companies go viral for their products. Somebody is, hyping it up on TikTok or wherever, and it goes viral and it sells out very quickly. And not only does it sell out very quickly, but this shop or this person or whoever the producer does not have the means to produce it as quickly as people are asking for it. And you are having this moment, but it's now no longer available. So now people have lost interest, and now those people are not going to come back around because it's going to take you however long to build back up. So again, you want to focus on good, steady growth. You want to focus on doing things that feel authentic to you and authentic to your brand more than you want to focus on virality and just hopping on the trends. But also, I said all of that, but I'm also going to say that it's okay to be adventurous. It's okay to have fun. Just don't feel pressure to have to do that. I feel like, especially when you are first starting out and you're just kind of throwing things to the wall and seeing what sticks, that is fine. But if something truly doesn't feel good to you, it's okay. It's okay, because there will be another trend that comes up tomorrow that will feel good to you. So stick with what feels best. And that's kind of it. So as you are trying out all of your new things, you know, like I'm gonna be there supporting you in the comments. You're doing amazing, because you are, even if you feel like you aren't. So much of the internet really is just getting out there and trying stuff and seeing how people respond to it. And you don't always have control over that. So you really do have to be okay with that. But just know that there are always going to be people in your corner rooting for you when you fly and even when you flop, but you just got to keep going regardless. And that is it for right now. Let me see, what time is it? Oh, I did good. Okay. I wanted to make
Got
sure that
time
we were
for
going to have enough
questions.
time for questions. Oh, hold on. There's some stuff going on in the chat. So let me see what's happening here. The girl crying is crazy. It is. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions for me? You can drop it in the chat or you can unmute yourself.
Hey, Trent, I have a question.
Hi.
Do you have an opinion on like how often to post to stay active?
What do you mean?
Like, is there a certain frequency you would recommend to like stay visible within your community for posting on Instagram?
I feel like once or twice a week, depending on what kind of content you're putting out, once or twice a week is good. Specifically for the Hue page, I do try to, and you're talking about like a post that lives on your page, not just to your stories.
Well, and that's my question to you too. Like, do stories hold the same weight as posts? I mean, are people looking at stories more than posts? I have no idea.
People look at stories. I can't say if people look at stories more than posts. But what I can say is that stories is kind of an easier way to keep folks engaged with you and your page without feeling the pressure of constantly having to pump out your own content or post your own content to your page.
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. It just seems easier to post stories, but then I get like they disappear in 24 hours, you know.
Right.
So it feels like there's a lot more pressure to post like a real post.
Right. And that is also why I was making the talking about creating the folders where you just kind of have stuff just like in the arsenal, just ready to go. Because yeah, sometimes the stories do disappear, and sometimes it can be hard to find something that like feels authentic enough to want to post on your story. So if you just like keep a little something off to the side to post, I think it helps to keep your brand just like in front of people, even when you're not posting to your page. Because I don't always see people on my timeline, but I almost always see people just like in my stories, just like at the top, ready to go, ready to be clicked on.
Hi, Trent. I have a question. Do you have any suggestions for automation tools? Like I've seen some folks on Instagram say, comment X word and I'll DM you a link to my business or whatever, what have you. And I'm not sure what those programs are. Do you know what they are? Or have you heard of them before?
So I have never used those. I've looked into them. So the comment X, like comment this word and I'll send you this, is actually something that is built into the Instagram platform itself. So if you say comment money bag and I'll send you the link to get a money bag, then you go into like your Instagram settings and there's a place in there where you can put a specific response that you want to DM to people who comment money bag on that post. It's really neat. I've seen it be successful for a lot of folks. So if that's something that you're interested in, highly suggest, because that also cuts out time that you're having to personally go in and repost that every time.
Cool, thank you. I didn't know that was built into Instagram. I thought that was like something people downloaded or did. I don't know. I didn't know how it worked.
Yeah, it's built into Instagram. I will I'll go and look and see if I can find it again. I'll send it to you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, Trent.
So
Oh,
Oh
sorry.
no, go ahead, Marley. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you're good. You're good. We did it at the same time. So.
Are you sure? Okay, all right, cool. All right, so Trent, I know you mentioned as far as just allowing who it is that you are to shine on your Instagram page or whatever social media platform, whether it be from a morale standpoint, as you mentioned, Palestine as an example, but whatever it is that you kind of allow your own beliefs to shine through your brand. How do you feel about like an appropriate time period as far as archiving items, to your point, not to flood your content with some of those things, and your audience is able to filter through. For an example, like I have a couple of Martin Luther King posts on there and things of that sort. But I don't want, as we continue to either celebrate things or highlight things from a social standpoint, is it an expiration date to make sure that we're not clouding our content with some of those beliefs while allowing our audience to know who it is that we are as well simultaneously?
You're talking about these being things that are just like living on your page. Well, I would feel like, why would you want to take those down? I feel like you would want to leave those up so that people can see that these are things that we celebrate. These are things that are important to us.
No, I agree. I agree.
Oh,
Like
okay.
International Women's Month and things of that sort. But once again, to your point, like as far as going viral, right? And it may be one item and then they come back there and then they'll see a consistency as far as that content. I didn't know whether or not you had a recommendation as far as some of those items, maybe archiving it so it doesn't flood whatever it is that you may be trying to sell, whether it be a service or a product to your audience.
Okay, I see. I mean, I think that people will see that you are celebrating a certain holiday and not assume that that's all that you do on your page. But if you're worried that having these types of posts up are going to take away from your just like regularly scheduled programming or content, I actually would suggest maybe just creating more content that is just the regularly scheduled. So because I'm just trying to imagine how much space could these be taking up?
To your point, it may have to do with the frequency of how much you're content. So that kind of answers my question as well.
Okay. Yeah. So you may, maybe look into just like getting more content out that is regularly scheduled programming, because those things should be supplemental and not like the main thing that people are saying. But I see what you're saying now.
I'll go to the Hughes Society for the dance videos, not the wine.
I love those dance videos.
It was a good time.
Right? We already know on Fridays what to expect, honey. I'll be ready.
Hi, Trent. So I kind of have two questions. So one thing, I see a lot of posts have kind of gimmicky things that seem like they are just there to like force engagement. Are those effective? Are those advisable? Like, you see things where it's like just one shot and it's like see caption, and the caption will be like this long. I'm like, and I think about things, I'm like, am I supposed to be doing that? Is that what's working?
So this is kind of a twofold thing. The answer is that yes, these do work, because you put this very short video up, and it's like 3 things that I do that have changed my entire life perspective on life forever, because life, see caption below. And it's like you said, you click on it and now you're spending all this time reading through the caption, because also sometimes they take a long time before they even get to the 3 things that they have. But while you're doing all of that, trying to read through the caption, the video is looping. So they're getting more views, which is making it seem like the video is more popular than it actually is. But also Instagram is tracking that you actually clicked on the caption and that you're reading the caption. So it is creating more engagement for them. It would create more engagement for you. But I also feel like the expiration date on that type of content is coming up quickly, because people are getting annoyed with it. And there are other ways to, get folks engaged without it having to be this, like you said, it's becoming a little gimmicky. And And also like I said before, like if it doesn't feel good to you to do, then don't do it. Like so a rule that I have instated for myself when it comes to the type of content I create is if I create content that I like, then I've already satisfied my audience, right? And so like if you are creating something that you don't like, that doesn't feel good to you, why would you put that out? Do you not want to like your own brand? Would you not, you know what I mean? So yeah. Don't give in to the cringe. She's not cute.
Hey Trent, I have a question about the folders. So
Mhm.
you mentioned folders like how you see things and you save them for later. Are these folders that are on Instagram in the app?
Yes. So when you click save on any piece of content, there should be
Yeah.
a little pop-up that comes from below that asks you like if you want to save it to a specific folder. And so you
Okay.
can just create folders from there. And you also can create folders from there. You also can make the folders collaborative. So for me, where I have like a few different accounts that I manage, some of the content does work for multiple accounts. So I will just make them be shared folders across the board so that I'm not having to go in and like reshare or resend it over and over again.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey Trent, there's a question in the chat.
Oh,
It
there is?
says,
Okay.
are hashtags still very important, for example, to sponsors? Like that was their example, I think. Like, are hashtags still as important? Should we tag sponsors and other groups you're affiliated with?
Yes, hashtags are still important. I know that Instagram instated the subjects thing that you can use now when you're putting reels out. Like you can select specific subjects that you want to be associated with. But also still use hashtags because people do use hashtags. Brands look them up, people look them up, and make sure that they are hashtags that are searchable. If this is a hashtag that you just made up for yourself, then how would anybody else know to find you with that? You want to put things that are actually like findable and easily recognizable outside of just yourself. Okay, and then I also see Notion is really helpful for scheduling. Notion is helpful for scheduling. I know there was another one that I wrote down earlier too. Trello and Metricool are two that people really like. Later is a good one. Here, I'll put the other two in the chat too that I also just mentioned. Trello. And doing these kinds of things, using these kinds of programs and platforms are very helpful also. But you also have to take some time to sit down and do it. But it will help you save your daily time from having to sit and post things and do things every day. Whereas like if you use a scheduling tool, you just take a few hours over the weekend or whatever day you want to and plug everything in there and then you're good to go.
Hi, Trent.
Hi.
It's the voice of God. Don't look for it. So I already know the answer to this, but I thought it would be a good question to get answered to the group. What about, speaking of scheduling, what about timing of schedule?
Yeah.
Posting.
So at one point, timing of scheduling was becoming less important because the algorithm was just being so wild and nobody really knew what worked and what didn't. But I have been seeing some of the pages that I follow that keep up with these kind of trends resurfacing with this kind of information about when are the best times to post. And most consistently across the board, what I've been seeing is between 6 and 7 a.m., which I think is a great time because that is when most people are getting up and I do not endorse this habit, but a lot of folks, as soon as they wake up, roll over and start scrolling on their phone. So if you want to catch that crowd, then go ahead and be posting between 6 and 7, maybe sometimes even 4 and 5. But what I saw most consistently was 6 and 7 a.m. And then midweek on like Wednesday and Thursday around lunchtime. So from 11 to 2. Alicia has a question. If you use consistent hashtags for yourself, will that work? Yes. And that is a great point. Thank you for bringing that up. Yes. So I know I talked kind of bad about creating your own hashtags earlier. Sorry to that man. But creating hashtags for yourself does work. It is a great way to show people where to find a consistent body of your work. So an example that I'll use for myself is that on my page, I have a hashtag Trent be cooking. And if you click on that, you literally can see all of my food content, which works for me because food content isn't all that I post and sometimes can get lost in other things that I post. So yes, if you create a hashtag for yourself, but it would be worth mentioning that hashtag probably somewhere in your bio so that people can see that, especially if they're new, because they're not going to know to just go and find that hashtag.
Hi, Trent. I have another question. So what are your thoughts on like the Instagram to TikTok pipeline? And do you think it is necessary to create different content for both platforms, or is Instagram enough?
I think that my personal opinion is that Instagram is enough, but I know that a lot of people have found success by posting on both, or specifically by posting on TikTok. TikTok is a great platform for getting your video content out and getting it seen, but it is a lot more work because that is a beast that moves like at a much quicker pace. You also want to know like where most of your audience is. I think that the audience that is on Instagram is different than the audience on TikTok. There is some crossover, but sometimes you may do well enough to just have your content on one or the other. Also, if you are going to post in multiple different places, let's say you have like a 30-second video content that you want to post and you want to make a reel out of it, you want to make a TikTok out of it, you also want to post it on your Twitter or your threads, post them all at the same time. Do not give anybody else the time to snatch it and post it before you do. It's your content. So post them all at the same time. Anybody else?
Hey, Trent, in your opinion, are all followers created equal? One of the things I've been struggling with the Hue page is on my personal page, I want to say like, hey, come follow our chapter, like, you know me, but I don't want to make it about me. And I don't want all these people rushing to the chapter page to support it if they're not interested in the chapter.
Yeah, that is actually very important. So when you think about, let me stop this sharing real quick because I just want to look at people. Okay, so when you are thinking about your followers, you want folks who are going to engage. Having a large number of followers who are actually not engaging with you it's gonna make your engagement numbers look disproportionate, right? Because let's say you have 20 followers, 10 of them are people who are just your friends, who just want to support you, who just want to get the numbers up. But it's not going to look good for you to have 20 followers and then you just have one like on each one of your things, because now, well, what happened to these other 19 people? So in some ways, like, yes, it can look good, but I always think that having like people who are more engaging is more important than having a big number, especially if you're looking to do brand deals or anything like that. At a certain point, a lot of these brands look more at your percentage numbers and engagement than they do at just how many followers you have, because people buy followers all the time. Why you have 20,000 followers and you get 10 likes on your picture? the math is not mathing. And these companies are learning how to read through those kinds of things these days.
Okay, that makes sense.
Mhm. All right. Well, before we run out of time, I just want to thank you all for sharing your time with me this evening. I hope that you found this information valuable. If there's anything more, again, I know that we talked about, mostly pretty like basic foundational things here, but if there's anything more that you would like to talk about and maybe, we do a part 2 of this, please just like reach out and let us know.
Raise your hand if you want a part 2.
Definitely. No, we're going to do a part 2.
Oh, well, all right then. There it is.
Let's just say if anyone has any ideas or specific topics that they'd like to do, maybe a deeper dive into for part 2, you can just send them over to either myself or Trent.
Yeah, that works.
Thanks, everyone. Everybody have a good evening.